Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com. Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
Lock of the Week Friday from Ruffino's, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Good morning, everybody. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. Jimmy Ott will be with us in starting in hour number 2. Max Gotro is here. Jordan Kentis is back in the studio. We got a ton of picks coming today. LSU back in action at home against South Carolina. We had Thursday night football. A lot of action to get you there. I might even slip in a little bit of Major League Baseball. We got some Game 5s coming your way. Saints and the Patriots on Sunday. So we got, as my dear departed uncle used to say, more than we could say grace over. Rich, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. That Thursday night game was awesome last night. I think Scadaboo's my favorite player in the NFL right now.
Okay, and obviously you've had a lot longer relationship with him than I have, but I cannot look at him and not think of Jacob Hester. He reminds me so much of Hester.
But I think he's even meaner. Like, Jake was never crazy. Jake was just a hard-working.
That's a compliment to both of them, by the way, because they played a game, in a certain way that I admire.
But Scott was just he's off his rocker. He's a little bit crazy, and I love it.
What either Michaels or Herb Street said on the broadcast last night, I think it was after his third touchdown, but it might have been a little bit early. He says these two kids, Dart and Scadaboo, have brought an attitude to this. And look, when you think of the Giants, we're gonna get to LSU in a second. I'm sorry, but this is fun for me. We can venture off topic just a little bit with something that's compelling. When you think of the New York Giants, the last, I'm going to say 5 years, maybe since Eli left his prime. Okay, what comes to mind? There's one word that comes to mind. I don't know if we're thinking of the same word.
I just think that they've been kind of pathetic.
Okay, pathetic works. I was going to go with boring.
Yeah,
boring. Up until the last couple of years, they weren't like the worst team in the league. They were in that pathetic works, boring. That 6-10, 6-11 now that they get 17 games. It's that hell of the NFL, which is where I'm trying to avoid the Saints being in for any longer than they have to be. Where you're not the worst team in the league, where you can go get your guy, okay, and your guy is the number one guy, but you're not good enough to make the playoffs. And they did make the playoffs in Daniel Jones's third year, I think, if I got my years right. Okay, the year they went and beat me. But it was more of a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. They had a negative points differential on the season or something or maybe Minnesota had the negative points differential. Anyway, they went and won a game, and it was like, okay, we're going to sign Daniel Jones to this contract, and we're good. Except they weren't. And Philadelphia, ran them out the stadium next week, and they're boring. They're stagnant. These two guys ain't boring, okay? And Malik Neighbors, I know he's out for the rest of the year when he gets back. He's not boring, okay? And that's how you change a culture. It doesn't take 40 guys. You've been in way more locker rooms than me, okay? It only takes a few, but it takes the right few.
It takes the right few, and it takes a guy in impact positions. Like Jackson Dart, the quarterback. Everybody looks into that. A running back, guys getting his hands on the ball. Somebody's looking into that. I mean, when you watched all the interviews, and I watched every interview last night because it was a fun game to watch. When he lowered his shoulder in the end zone and gave the guy the flipper.
Right.
I mean, that's attitude.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't touch me. I was going to score. He's telling him, screw off. Basically.
Right, yeah.
And so seeing that, I'm like, God dang, he's got the mentality. And then watch the older guys, like the defense is, waving the towels. They're getting hype on the sideline. For two freshmen, two rookies to come in there and change the attitude, and then the older guys buy into it. I mean, that's special.
It is. And you could the fans, you could see them last night. I mean, Giants fans, that's a pretty good, a pretty solid group. I mean, this is Up until the last, I would say 5 or 6 years, this is one of the more stable organizations in the NFL, okay? If you go back into the early 80s all the way to pretty much when Eli was done, the Giants are very rarely bad.
Yeah.
Now, the last 6 or 8 years since Eli retired, they've been
They said last night that the two losingest programs in the last 3 years are the Jets and the Giants.
The Jets and the Giants, that's right. Now, the Jets have been screwed since Namath left, but with just a couple of exceptions. But the Giants have been a good, solid organization. Now, their owner is sick, okay? And this is for a long time, was one of the best ownership groups in the NFL. Them, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, the way they structure it in Green Bay, even though they don't have a single owner. Those were some of the most stable organizations, and be it the Maras getting sick or whatever, the program just kind of stagnated, and you felt it last night. You felt watch at least I did watching this game. It's like they are excited. This is not. They understand that this is not just, hey man, we're going to upset the Eagles tonight, the champs. We got something here. Yeah. We really got something. Now, I'm all for Scatterboo lowering a shoulder and throwing a flipper and all that stuff because he's a running back, and he does that. Jackson Dart invigorated everybody last night with these head firsts and these shoulder firsts and all that stuff. He going to have to quit doing that, or he going to end up on the injured list. Pick your spots. But last night, when he got hurt, and he wasn't hurt bad. Maybe his helmet just came off. Russell Wilson went in the game for like 2 snaps.
And it completely – you felt it just leave.
Oof. Yeah, the whole thing. Russell Wilson, okay, Super Bowl winning quarterback a long time ago, comes in the game and the whole crowd goes, how long before he's out? Yeah. Okay, everybody's on to Jackson Dart. Is it sustainable? Who can say? We've seen, rookie quarterbacks have a big impact before, and maybe it doesn't sustain itself. This feels, if I were a Giant fan today, I'd say, this is going to be fun. Okay, yeah. We got some real difference makers.
Part of that is him going in head first, and like that quarterback with that mentality. And look, I get it. Especially, you see a lot of rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Jaden Daniels, they were screaming at slide, get down. Mm-hmm. Jackson Dart. I mean, Robert Griffin, Joe Burrow. I mean, all of them do it, and that's what makes. I kind of get it as a rookie quarterback. You're going out there saying, look, I'm laying it on the line. Like, yeah. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. But as you mature, you got to say, all right, it's more important that I stay on the field than make that first down.
See, I thought Daniels got it faster than Burrow did. Yeah. I thought Burrow kept after it a little bit longer. And maybe it was because Burrow's offensive line was so bad. Yeah. Well, he had to move or risk getting his head ripped off. But, and I've referenced this game a bunch of times when we went to see him play Green Bay. We're going to see LSU play Kentucky. We drove to Cincinnati. We watched that game. Aaron Rodgers was still quarterbacking the Packers, and there's a play in the second quarter where it's 3rd and whatever, and Burrow leaps, gets hit in the air, spun around. Yeah. I mean, really takes a lick. Got the first down, and then there's a quote after the game, and Aaron Rodgers like, hey, you and Burrow had words. What'd you tell him? He goes, I told him to stop doing it. Okay, I told him to get down because you're going to play in this league a long time, but if you keep doing that, you can't do that. Yeah. Somebody's going to have that conversation with Dart. But for right now, that was fun to watch last night. Oh,
the most fun I've had watching a Thursday night game in a long time.
And I didn't even I had no action on the game because Max told me not to bet it until it got to 7. So it never got to 7, so I didn't bet it. I listened to Max last night. It was a very good idea on the Eagles and Giants. It was a very bad idea on Southern Miss, but that's a whole different, yes, I'm blaming you. But it was fun. It was fun to watch.
The cool part was, if you watch the interview, I didn't realize that they haven't won the Giants haven't won a Thursday night game in 10 years or whatever it was.
And Lord knows they play plenty of them.
And that was like, he said they woke up and they saw that stat. That was the motivating factor. He's like, we have to change this. It's been 10 years since they won that game.
A Thursday night game or primetime game? It was a Thursday night game. Okay, because usually you get one a year. Yeah. Okay, but they play on prime. Ask Jimmy. It's one of his favorite topics. How often the Giants and the Jets, terrible as they are on primetime television. So anyway, all right, let's get to LSU. The off week, you said in the post game, and I think again maybe last Friday, that the absolute last thing you want going into a bye week is to lose, and to lose in the manner that it did. You got 2 weeks to stew on this thing. Yeah. So it feels like it's been a long time since the Ole Miss game for us. I can imagine what it feels like for the players.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I mean, There's one thing that, like, if you lose and you busted your butt out there and close game and, you just – the game just lost. But when you go out and play as bad as you did on offense and as humiliated as you were in a run game, I mean, that's something that you're going back to the drawing board and, like, what can we do different? And it's not personnel. I mean, you might change up a guard. Your tackles, I think – I like the young guy. I would stick with him a little bit longer.
There's going to be a quiz in the second segment on offensive linemen today. But I prepped you for it.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a mentality deal that we talk about all the time in a run game, and that's something that they got to figure out. They got to dig deep, and that's conversations within your group.
Yeah. I think the psychological is important to get your mind right. I don't know how where every team's different, right? You can speak to what it was like on your teams, and you played for 4 different teams and 4 different scenarios, right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. I tell people all the time, as much as we ran the ball and the way and of course everybody, that was a different style, but we had one offensive lineman drafted out of that group, and it was Herman Johnson, and I think he went in the 3rd round and maybe played 2 years in the league and was out. I mean, we didn't have the guys that they have right now. I mean, guys that can go out there and do it, but it's the mentality. I mean, we fought at practice. I mean, we fought the D-line every day. That was a battle, and that's something that was the mentality we had.
When Les used to do the big cat drill, he took a lot of scorn for that, and I was probably right there with it. It's like, okay, these are drills that are run by, youth league teams, okay, maybe high school teams. You're at this level. What are you really getting out of these 2 guys going one-on-one? Well, it turned out Les was onto something there because it does put a mentality.
Go back and watch those videos. The guys around the circle.
Yeah.
The guys getting hyped. I mean, that is how you want to set the tone is, I want to kick somebody's ass today. And
it may not have been much for technique or anything like that, but it was an attitude adjuster. And frankly, right now, this group could use the offensive line could use a physical attitude adjustment. That's why I like Kern so much. It's like, give me somebody that's going to go out and hit somebody.
Yeah, finish somebody. I mean, like Kern, you go back and watch that film, there's some plays that were just bad, and it was just he didn't know what he was doing. But the guy gave effort. He tried to finish people into the ground. He wanted to hurt somebody.
I'm sorry. I'm chuckling because as soon as you said that, the scene from Karate Kid, finish him! That's the first thing I thought of. All right, the restaurant opens here at 11 o'clock, so come on out and see us. Weekly features, the appetizer features smoked tomato oysters. This is the fire-roasted Gulf oysters, smoked tomato butter. This Calabrian chili, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Toasted almonds and Romano cheese. I'm going to get that just so you know right now so I can give you a full report on that. Oven roasted stuffed shrimp with the blue crab stuffing. Butter steak today. This is the 8-ounce ribeye caps with grilled asparagus and homemade Worcestershire sauce. Marsala feature is the rich marsala today with the veal reduction and local mushrooms. The dessert feature the pâte de crème. That's a chocolate custard with whipped hazelnut cream and toasted hazelnuts on the top. That is your Friday lunch menu here at Ruffino's. We're open up at 11 o'clock. Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investment.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Morris Insurance Group. Get a quote at morris-ig.com on all of those hard-to-insure items. Your duck fishing camps, your coastal properties, including flood insurance, all of your trailers, your boats, your motorcycles, your ATVs, your RVs. Get a quote at morris-ig.com, or you can call at 201-0007, 225-201-0007. Ask for Buzzy Hydell. He'll get you what you need. So if you think you're having a hard time finding these rates that you can afford or that are available to you on certain properties or certain items, look again with the Morris Insurance Group. Okay, Rich, we're going to see, I think, a different offensive line combination tomorrow if we take what Brian Kelly said yesterday, which is that most of the reps at left guard this week were taken by Cohen Eccles in place of Paul Mubenga, who's nursing a big ankle sprain. Weston Davis appears ready to go. They had to start Carius Kern in his spot last week. So when you take – for the moment we're going to take – for this exercise, we're going to take Mubenga out of the equation because I don't think he can go tomorrow. So that leaves us with Cohen Eccles, but Carius Kern has also been working in at left guard. It leaves us with Weston Davis back at right tackle, but we know Kern has already started and played a full game there. And it leaves us with DJ Chester, who has played both positions in a game this year. So I'm just going to run through some this leaves us with a number of different combinations that we could go with. Just going to see which one you like the best and which one you think that they will go with. Okay, so let me start with what I think is the most. We got 60% of the offensive line, but we could be dealing with a different 40%. This will, at the very least, be a different combination that has started a game, I'm pretty sure, tomorrow. So let's start with the most likely starting two tomorrow, which is Davis at right tackle and Eccles at left guard. You with me?
Do I agree with you?
This is just the most likely. You can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, rated on a scale of 1 to 10.
Makes the most sense. Okay, I said that one makes the most sense.
Okay. We could go Davis at right tackle, and Chester at left guard. I think that's pretty unlikely. Chester's worked there, but not recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Davis at right tackle and Kern at left guard. I don't think they start.
Better.
I don't think they start this way, but I think they could. You could see some snaps this way. Okay. And Kern has worked at left guard all the way back into the latter portions of camp. All right, now so those are the ones with Davis at right tackle. Now listen, Kern at right tackle,
okay, we're getting
and
somewhere.
Eccles at left guard.
I like that one.
Okay, we're in lockstep there. Kern at right tackle, Chester at left guard. That's unlikely. Chester at left guard is unlikely. I think it's in the bag of clubs, but I don't think you're going to pull out the lob wedge here. Okay, Kern at right. Chester at right tackle and Kern at left guard.
I could see that one.
That's got to stay out there because Eccles can't play right tackle. If Davis struggles and Kern's at left guard, Chester's your next guy over there. And then we go Chester at right tackle and Eccles at left guard.
Anything without Kern in it, I'm not going for right now.
Hey, all right. We can process of – by the way, that eliminates the most likely starting lineup for tomorrow.
100%.
Okay. So you like Kern, and I like Kern, and we're like president and vice president of the Carius Kern fan club since about the second week in August. And our enthusiasm was done nothing but improve after watching the film against Ole Miss. Not because he was perfect, far from it, but because –
it's the way his attitude.
Thank you.
He hasn't been coached into this finesse style that we've been playing for 4 or 5 years. He still has some of that high school, I'm going to kick your ass, be the best guy on the field, and that's all I can ask for. I mean, I just want an attitude change. Like I said, I've said it 100 times. We broke down the film last week. 50% of the time he didn't know what he was doing. The other 50% of the time he was trying to hurt somebody, and that's something I can work with.
Yeah, you can move those percentages as you move forward. All right, so Kern's got to play one of these positions in our lineup, not their lineup, our lineup. Would you rather have Kern at guard and Davis/Chester at tackle, or would you rather have Kern at tackle and Eccles at guard?
In the long run, I think he's at guard.
And I agree. What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'd put him at tackle where he's got a little bit of familiarity. I don't want to start changing things up on him. If he's trying to learn something right now and his biggest problem was not knowing what he was doing, put him in something that he's practiced the most.
At this point, I'm not sure what that is. If we're going all the way back to August, now in the last 2 weeks, I would say more tackle.
It was guard up until he said Davis didn't have enough competition and moved Kern over there, which I think was a bigger point that we didn't really stick.
It was the last week. Well, you know why? It was the last week of camp. You know why we didn't make a big deal out of it? Because he got hurt and he didn't play in the last scrimmage.
Okay.
And so the idea that he would play in the opener against Clemson was sort of taken off the table when he was either limited or I know you didn't go in that last scrimmage. Remember the famous scrimmage where Nussmeier doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Kern didn't scrimmage that day, so it was like, all right, well, he might have worked. Remember when Kelly said we're going to rotate 8 on Monday, and when they got to the game, they only rotated 7? Kern was the odd man out, and it was because he had missed that last week, my opinion. Okay, so that's why we didn't make a bigger deal out of it at the time. But that injury is long in the rearview mirror, and he's playing now.
But I think that was a bigger hint to the struggles Davis was having. I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, when they did that the last week of camp, and he didn't have enough competition, that means he's not liking what he's seeing. Yeah. And so I think that was a bigger telltale that it didn't really sink in at the time.
The grades that came out, the Pro Football Focus grades, Kern and Eccles had high pass blocking grades but low run blocking grades.
And that, to me, was more MAs, missed assignments, not getting to the right guy, going the wrong way. Because we talked about the one, and it's on our YouTube film where 3 guys go out to block, and he was the odd man out. We knew he was in the wrong. But, I mean, that's stuff that he just when he knew what he was doing, he fired off the ball. I think there's a lot of stuff just making sure getting your assignment sound.
If they end up moving people around in this game, we agree. Eccles and Kern would be where we would go.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the next guy?
Chester.
Okay, that's going to create a problem because I know he's not.
Yeah.
He's the next guy in a lot of scenarios, but I don't think he's going to go in the game in front of Weston Davis. Okay. My question is, if Davis goes in the game and struggles, is he replaced by? If he's replaced at all, is he replaced by Kern or is he replaced by Chester at right tackle?
Kern. I mean, if Kern's not playing left guard. Kern's got to be on the field, and I think he will be on the field. I think that when they go back and watch it, unless there's something that I'm not at practice every day, I'm not in the film room. Unless he's struggling to they're working with him, and he's struggling with the playbook, and he just can't. They can't trust him. That's the only way that keeps him off the field.
Yeah. They made Hunt likes us to do these station surveys, okay? You hear the morning guys complain about them all the time.
I was about to say they're complaining about it on the way in.
Right. But we did one back in August, and it was make a bold prediction, which this is an invitation to make a jackass out of yourself with something really out there. And my prediction at the time was the starting offensive line against Clemson won't be the starting offensive line in the Ole Miss or South Carolina game, and it won't be because of injury. I think I'm okay there. But how it plays out, I don't know, because I think it's going to be Eccles and Davis tomorrow to start. But I'm not sure that that's their best combination right now.
You had 2 weeks. I mean,
you did have 2 weeks.
There's 2 weeks of working with Kern at one of those positions. And, like I said, when they brought Kern in to back up for Davis because they saw issues early on, did he separate himself in these 2 weeks? And that's something none of us were at practice to see.
Davis
he looks the part.
Yes.
He's got the size. He's got the ability. He needs a mentality change. And I don't know what it is other than that these guys are playing a finesse style of,
He needs to play more football. He's a redshirt freshman. We think of him as an older player because it seems like we've been talking about him for a while. But he's in game, I think, 9 of his career. In fact, he missed last week, so it's 4. This will be 9, I think. I'm doing that without looking. Have you ever been on a team with a guy that he's a redshirt freshman? You look at him and you go, man, he looks the part. He's got the right attitude and all that stuff. He's just not ready to play yet. He's not ready to excel yet. And then later on in his career, he got it.
When I think of redshirt freshmen that played, it's because they got it.
Saron Black.
I mean, redshirt started the next 4 years. I'm trying to think, even Lyle Hitt started as a redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore maybe.
And he began as a defensive lineman,
and he was a defensive lineman. A lot of our offensive line was defensive lineman. Our right side and 07 both came from the defensive line.
Cornell Stewart
was a defensive lineman, and
Hitt was the right guard.
Lineman.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we're brought to you by Total Maintenance, AC and heating, generators, electricity, plumbing. Total Maintenance, your one-stop sales and service shop for all of these needs. One of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies since 1980. The slogan has been service today, every day. Call today, you get service today, so nobody ever goes to sleep uncomfortable. They're in New Orleans as well as Baton Rouge, authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daikin, and Rheem AC units, Generac and Cummings generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well. Baton Rouge, 480-1000 in New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. Rich, the week between the Ole Miss game and this week, the bye week, was spent with Garrett Nussmeier limited in practice to throwing. Brian Kelly said on the show last night that the velocity is back. They measure all this stuff. And so, okay, we'll watch. I'm not going to ask you to try to guess on this. It's been one of the most befuddling things to me, exactly where his health is. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is kind of describe some of the throws we saw in the Ole Miss game. And these were different points of the game, beginning, middle, and end, where there are times where he just doesn't get anything on the throw, and there's times where he's got plenty on the throw. And I'm not talking about the decision making yet. For right now, let's just talk about the arm.
But I think that's mentally as well.
The velocity.
The velocity. I think there's times where, it's like I tell people when you have a hurt rib and you're really careful and how you move and you don't want to do things. And then sometimes you drop a glass and you react and you go grab it and it hurts. I mean, I think that's got a lot to do with it. Some of those throws are reaction throws that he didn't have time to think about it. He put the zip on it. Did it maybe bother him, later on? Yes. But I think some of those times when he's got a clean pocket and he's sitting back there, he thinks about it a little bit more and he just doesn't get enough on it.
Okay. Then with a week, now 2 weeks to rest this thing, what do you think?
I have no clue. I mean, because we can go back to when this first came out and then we were playing the Southeastern game and he's not going to be right to the bye week. And that's where that whole scenario throws me off in this whole deal, because if it was all about rest, you'd have arrested him back then. But he said he was fine. And then it comes back up. It's like I don't want to say that it's an excuse because I don't know what's really wrong. But, I mean, when you're not giving him time off and you say he's okay, and then you come back and say he needs time off, and then he's limited, I mean, there's just too many different things going on for me to have a clear picture of what's happening.
Yeah, any of us really. And I've said this, people that listen to the show every day are probably tired of hearing me say this, but Nussmeier's the only one that knows for sure.
Yeah.
There's something that has been bothering him, which Kelly's been pretty transparent about that. This is just my take. I think Kelly's probably just as frustrated / cautious as any of us are, because he obviously wants the guy to get out there and be the guy, because that's their best chance to win. But he obviously didn't feel that taking him out of the Southeastern game was the way to accomplish that. And maybe Brian Kelly's seeing in practice the same things that we saw in the Ole Miss game, which is a throw that comes up woefully short, a throw that sails on him, and then 2 series later, a throw that looks like one of Brett Favre's, into this tight window. And maybe every time he's gone to sitting down, he's like, well, no, we're okay. And then the next throw you get is like one to Hilton. So what do? You sit him in the off week. He spent the week throwing a towel. Okay. Did that help enough? I don't expect you to give me your opinion. None of us has the right answer. We're not going to know, and we're not going to know until the game tomorrow. If Garrett Nussmeier walked in here and ordered the oysters, okay, the oysters, the smoked tomato oysters, okay, and said, "I feel great," I take him at his word, but I don't know if he's going to feel great tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's done what he's supposed to do as far as getting back, but I don't know how he's going to react in a game. What about the first time he gets hit?
Yeah.
behind this offensive line. He's going to get hit.
First time he has to roll out. First time he has to avoid a rusher. I mean, there's so many things that can happen that could just tweak it. You could be, like you said, could be feeling great and then gets tweaked.
So let's talk about game plan a little bit against South Carolina, because they abandoned the running game against Ole Miss. We've been through this for going on 12 days now, so there's no need to rehash it. If they see these, with Caden Durham back, okay, these lighter boxes tomorrow, don't they have to run into them? I mean,
at some point, that's the conversation they're having in the locker room is, we got to go out there and prove that we can do this. We have to. It is so vital to the passing game, and especially the deep ball game, is to get some run going forward, get some to the point where people respect a run and allows you to throw over the top.
All right, let's flip sides. Lenore Sellers a year ago had a fantastic first half against LSU, got injured, really couldn't go in the second half. And LSU won a close game, some controversial calls, takes a missed field goal to keep him out of overtime. If Sellers plays in the second half last year, South Carolina probably wins the game. He's back. I like what I've seen out of him so far. If he were on the New Orleans Saints roster next year, that wouldn't bother me at all. Hint, hint. The run game for South Carolina, though, is worse than the run game for LSU. And part of that, Rich, is the fact that he's been sacked 15 times.
Yeah.
So if you got this LSU defense and you're looking at defending Lenore Sellers, what comes to mind first?
Play the way they're playing, man. We've got to have the fastest linebacking group in the SEC. We have, in my opinion, the most athletic linebacking group, and that's guys that can run with Lenore Sellers. I think I heard this morning their longest rush of the year is 30 yards, and I'm pretty sure it was Lenore's on a scramble.
Yeah.
But this is something that we're in a great spot. My biggest thing is that we can't wear them down. We have to get sustained drives on offense to allow our defense to play fast and to keep up with a mobile quarterback.
Here's the first thing that comes to my mind. Lenore Sellers is not going to beat me with his feet if I can help it.
Yeah.
If he throws for 300 yards tomorrow night against this secondary and this pass rush, then God bless. He's a special talent. But if he runs for 120 yards in this game, that's shame on me, because I've got some things that I can do that can limit that. But I thought that against Chambliss 2 weeks ago. And Chambliss, he didn't run for an outlandish amount of yards. I think it was about 55 or 60. But they were key runs, and they were right in the middle. Most of them were right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, it was typically when we had our linebackers spread out a little bit. But there's so many things going into that game that I think we had to call a different style of defense or slow the defense down to keep them with a little bit of energy. They couldn't be flying around all day when we're having 3 and 4 play drives.
They did enough from a point standpoint and getting off the field. They did give up a bunch of yards at Ole Miss. You see anything that Ole Miss exploited that other teams might exploit?
They got rid of the ball real quick. I don't think we had a sack in the game. Didn't have very many pressures. And to me, that's a problem, with what Blake Baker calls is havoc rate. They want to create havoc. We got to get after the quarterback. But then again, I go back to where I don't think we were doing that as much because we could not sustain drives on offense. You can't play a blitz-happy defense. That's exhausting. You do that to get off the field. You don't do that to get right back on the field. And I think that they had to change things up a little bit last week.
What Sellers does, and I saw this in the very first drive of the year against Virginia Tech, is they run a very nice misdirection game when they choose to that gets him on the move. That they will use your pursuit against you, and they'll give him these RPOs, and he's gotten better at it. He's especially gotten better at throwing the ball down the field off of some of this action. So that would be my biggest concern, is that they will use LSU's pursuit against them. This is not earth-shattering stuff. They just happen to do it okay in the games that I've watched. And then from time to time, he can make the superhuman throw. Against Kentucky, Missouri. They were in a 3rd and 37.
Yep.
He rolls to his left, and he throws this 34-yard laser beam to a guy that's coming across the field. They're 3 yards short of the first down, but it was like, Did you see that? Because the ball's in the air damn near 40 yards, and he's rolling against his body, and he puts this thing in between the numbers. He's got that.
Yeah.
He's got that potential. He's not a finished product at this point in his career, but man, he makes some of those throws. You go, geez, amen. Especially at his size, that's what makes him such a compelling prospect, and why I'd love to see him in New Orleans at some point.
Is he a redshirt sophomore?
He's a third-year guy. He's
redshirt sophomore.
He's draft eligible next year.
He's a guy that has gotten better. I think his arm's getting a lot better. He's throwing the ball better. Last year, I felt like he won a lot with his legs. But man, he's a tough guy. But I think that he's really their only running threat they have right now.
He is in my opinion, he's in the category along with guys like DJ Lagway, Jordan Maeva at USC, these Raiola at Nebraska, that these are really talented kids that win in the game very early in their careers, and there's some spectacular and there's some big foul ups, and they just need to play a lot more football. And when this kid, Sellers may be the number one pick in the draft next year. He's going to get to somewhere around 22, I think, starts at the end of this season. You want to know what the best thing for your development is probably to play another year in college, which probably he won't do.
Did you listen to Jackson Dart interview after the game last night?
That's another good example.
He said, look, man, I'm seeing coverages for the first time right now. Like, there's things that I don't know. I just need – he goes, I'm getting better each week. I'm seeing it. He goes, but every time I line up in the game, I see something new. And that's just from not playing.
Those kids, all the ones I just named, they're all really strong talents. They've all made some wild plays. They've all made some mistakes. And when you get the big prospect, everybody wants to see him as soon as you can. This is going to be our guy. This is going to be our Heisman guy. And generally, it doesn't work that way. I mean, generally, it takes some time. 50% of the time,
you ruin confidence.
Yes.
I mean, that's the biggest thing is where I've always hated it. Like, I wanted a young quarterback to learn, sit there as much as possible. And this has gone both college and NFL. I mean, they want to start the first-round draft pick. They want the 5-star freshman on the field. I mean, and these guys, it can go either way. They can come out and really explode and play well, or they can lose all their confidence by throwing a few interceptions and get down on themselves.
And increasingly, what coaches have to make this decision: do you want this mega prospect? Well, of course you do, but you can go get a guy who's played 2 years and made all these mistakes for somebody else, and put him in your lineup. Okay, Jaden Daniels played a lot of football before he got here, and had to play a lot of football before he got, halfway through that first year. It's like, okay, here it comes, and then boom. It doesn't work out like that for everybody, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. You can choose. LSU will be in this situation next year. You got a big quarterback coming in, but maybe if he reclassifies. But you can go get somebody for that's been quarterbacking somewhere else for 2 years and learned on somebody else's dime. Learned at. I just throw a school out there, NC State. No. Just to throw a school out there. Nothing behind that at all. We're brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike. Let them work with you, your business partners, your legal team, and tax professionals to make sure all your retirement goals are achieved. Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you because they've been working for me. And for more information, you can contact Philip Fondo and his staff, 337-981-1376, or online at coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors, member FINRA SIPC. Back to wrap up hour number one. Live at lunch from
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And return here at Rufino's. A few more minutes with Richard Dixon. All right, Rich, just give me your best guess on how this thing goes tomorrow.
Man, this first time I'm really not sure. I think the defense is going to play well. That's where my confidence is. I think the offense wants to come out and prove everybody wrong. And, I think that, regardless, it's been heard that, they can't run the football. It's something that, has been in their mind. And then it's put up or shut up for me. I mean, this is a game that you come out here and say, look, we put our mind to it, we're going to do it, or you go out there and get your butts whipped and prove that you can't.
Here's the one intangible, and I don't think this continues tomorrow because this is more of a, I hate to say fluke, but it's just one of those things that happens in games. South Carolina has 6 non-offensive touchdowns in 5 games, okay? You've had some special teams. You had a punt return. You had a blocked field goal return. You had a fumble. You had a pick six. You don't expect any of those things to happen, but you can go back and look at the statistics. The number of times you had a blocked punt or blocked field goal first score in a game. Those teams win a huge majority of the time. Got to stay away from that tomorrow. LSU special teams have been mostly okay. There've been some breakdowns here and there, but mostly okay. You got to avoid that tomorrow because this could easily be a one-score game.
This is going to be the halfway mark. It's off the bye week, and if you're going to do something better and you're going to make a change, you got to show it this weekend.
Catch you tomorrow in pregame, bub. All right, thanks a lot. We'll take a break. We are at Ruffino's. Lock of the Week Friday is presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments. Jimmy joins the show when we come back.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Expecting a really, really nice crowd here at Ruffino's today. Big night tonight. This is talk about the enthusiasm, the atmosphere here in Ruffino's, man. Nothing better than a Friday night before an LSU home game. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. First off, shout out to the lovely Alex over at Starbucks in Highland Road who gave me my coffee complimentary because I forgot my wallet. So thank you, Alex. You were very, very polite. Very nice.
You need a little.
That makes a 7-1 night at 8-1 night. So, oh no, 9-1, Charlie.
9-1.
I told you it was coming.
Fall?
Yes, I told you, Charlie. I told you, Charlie.
I got it this morning. I went outside. It was about 6:15.
I told you.
I said, "Man,
fall is coming.
This is really nice. This is really nice." Fun night of football and some fun baseball too. I know it's Football Friday, but some fun baseball. We got a couple of Game 5s tomorrow.
How about
lost
this?
In the shuffle, but
6 all or nothing games in the MLB postseason so far.
Yeah.
6.
And so tomorrow makes 8.
No. These two will be 6.
Okay, it's been a lot of good baseball. A lot of compelling baseball. Okay,
Phillies, Dodgers. And tonight, Tarek Skubal. He's the best pitcher in baseball. He will be the AL Cy Young Award winner. I wish Crochet would get it. Me and Massaro certainly wish so, but. And they've beaten him 3 times. All 3 times. They haven't beaten him, but they've won the game where he started 3 times, including earlier in the series.
What's he working on as far as rest going tomorrow?
He pitched Sunday night. Was it Sunday night?
Okay. So
yeah.
He's.
It was game
2, wasn't it?
He pitched.
I lose track with all of the football that's going on, but
I know. I think it was game 1, Charlie.
Okay.
I think it was game 1.
I'm rooting for Seattle. I think they're a good story. I think that Cal Raleigh's a good story.
They're great. No. This is
not the Detroit.
This is a pucker up type of atmosphere for Seattle. They're good. They've always had the pitching. They just had no hitting from. Well, they started hitting this year. Big Dumper's having a crazy year. We know about Rodriguez, and then they make these pickups with Naylor and Suarez. Man, and they've been since the trade deadline. They have been clearly the best team in baseball. Now we know the Dodgers are sandbagging kind of to the postseason, making sure their starters were healthy and all that because they were so unhealthy last year. But no, this would be a major disappointment if they don't get past this round. A big time disappointment. They had that 3-0 lead, and they made an early move on the starter, and it was a bad move.
6 straight.
Yeah.
6 straight.
So there were nothing cheap in that. And how about the analytics last night in the Dodgers game, huh? Strikeouts like a ground ball.
Yeah, and
was it?
Well, All I know is that at the end of the game, I would have thrown the first, and the kid, I guess, panicked or whatever. I mean, he's coming to the plate. He's wide of the plate. I don't think he gets him at the plate anyway, but he sure would have got the runner at first.
Well, he didn't field it cleanly.
No,
but he didn't. He didn't. The play at home is in front of him, but that's going to be that runner from third has a jump, so that's obvious. But I'm sorry, when you're 8 years old, when Dixon is teaching his kid, and Dixon's got to pull a throttle. I'm glad he got a piece of his own medicine last night, trying to run it up on all these little teams out there. But anyway, but they're telling him right now at U8, balls hit to you. What do I do? Every batter, balls hit. All right, there's first and second, one out. You're at shortstop. Balls hit to you. What do? I mean, this is the first thing you learn.
Yeah.
But he didn't field it cleanly. He panicked. It's a big spot, and it's just Derek Jeter's been so good, man, on the Fox, on the desk. I mean, he says no, in postseason baseball, you have to put the ball in play, and that's something that the Phillies hadn't done. Great. Schwarber hit one as far as Willie Stargell did 50 years ago, 60 years ago.
Yeah, he hit it over the pavilion. Yeah.
I mean, nobody's hit one like. I mean, there's a lot, but one hit between Taylor, Harper, and Schwarber. There's a lot of money in this one hit. You got to put the ball in play a little. At sometimes. Keep in mind, a lot of these home runs over the course of the season, over the weaker pitching that you don't see.
Yeah.
Or stretched out, these middle relievers and things like that. That's where a lot of these home runs are off of mistakes, 90% of the time. So it's just been still for 162 game sport, regular season sport, scheduled sport, to have all or nothing games. It adds a whole layer of tension, stress, complexity, and it's fun. It's fun.
It's fun. The playoffs, you said you're hitting home runs off guys that pitch in the basketball playoffs. I can score in the regular season.
Yes.
There's somebody different guarding you,
yes.
and guarding you at a different intensity level in the postseason. All right, Eagles and Giants. This was, in my opinion, this was a fun game to watch because.
Wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
The Giants all of a sudden have a level of entertaining. 5-35, no more now. 6-35. Let's go, G-men. Go ahead, Randy McKay.
I asked Dixon because he watched the game last night too. I said, "What word kind of describes the Giants over the since Eli left?" And my word was boring. Okay,
tremendously
stuck in this 6-10, 6-11 hell.
Charlie, some of those Eli teams, he had no protection, and he was getting sacked
toward the end of his career. That's right.
Stuff like
you
that.
You go back almost a decade on the Giants.
Horribly boring. But what did I tell you? We're sitting at the Queen watching Saints Giants. I said, this is actually an entertaining level of game.
Right, it was. And Dart's got a little something. And Scatterboo has got them. They're fun to watch. They look like they're having fun. And when they get Malik Neighbors back next year, they've got a core. You can see the Giants fans in the stands last night. Like,
yes,
man, this is cool.
There's some hope.
Yeah, there really is. It was more than just, in my opinion, you don't like to do this big picture stuff all the time, but it was more than just, hey, we beat the champs. It was like, this looks like our future.
So, Jackson Dart had his best game last night?
Of the three, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, clearly. Clearly. So running too much, had to go to the tent, well, come on. I mean, it's all fun and games right now, but come on, man. I mean, that's not where you're going to make a long-term living in this league. And his runnings, he can't just get out of bounds and run away from people like Lamar Jackson. Jackson protects his body about as good as any, and he is missing some games pretty much every year. But we said one thing I'm completely wrong on, and all you have to know is if Shane and Dayball are lucky to have their job this year. They're fortunate. A lot of times people. If we had a prediction at the end of the year last year, we'd have thought they would be gone.
Yes.
Okay. So they got another chance, and we said in the summer. We say a lot of things in the summer, but I like to revisit it, whether right or wrong, and I'm completely wrong here. Oh, no, if they want to save their job, play Dart. Play Dart. I'm going to play a rookie who I don't know if he's going to be, and I still don't know. It's the jury's still out on Dart.
You mean play Wilson, right?
No, I thought playing a rookie who I'm not sure if he's going to make it in the NFL because he's playing in a quarterback-friendly system at Ole Miss, and he put up the same numbers that every quarterback before him did, and they weren't close to. No, I was very skeptical about Ole Miss success transitioning to NFL success, all right? Look, we saw the preseason. All their quarterbacks look good. Trust me, 3-0 ATS in preseason. We had them, all right? But all you have to do is watch about 75 seconds of film, of real-time film, of Dayball. Dart goes to the tent. Wilson comes in. He throws an incompletion. The fans are going crazy.
They are.
Dayball is going after the doctor. It's like, I think Dayball thinks that Jackson Dart's the better option to save his job.
I would say.
No, it's obvious now. I'm just saying I was wrong. I was wrong. But he's, listen, the first game is an incomplete. He barely threw for 100 yards against the Chargers. Now, that's the game where they lost Malik in game. So we can't kill him, but that's not like, they won, but come on. I mean, that was not a great performance. Two great drives to start the Saints game, and he threw up on himself. He's responsible for 4 turnovers?
5.
No,
they didn't turn it over 5
He's
times,
responsible for 4.
Yeah, it's got to be with the other one. That's right.
Okay? And then this is his best game. So he's had a kind of an incomplete, a bad one, a good one. So, I mean, this is kind of a first-year starter, huh? But doesn't it feel like they really have a chance with him?
Yes.
Doesn't it feel like all of a sudden this offense has a chance to move the ball if they execute properly with just some of his decisions? And it's just kind of just a C type of good, bad, and kind of incomplete. It feels so much different.
It does, and he did this. I'll add 2 things. Number one, he did this with a makeshift receiving crew, okay? Wan'Dale Robinson's a nice player. He's not a number 1 receiver in the league, which he's being asked to be now. LaJordan Humphrey, who had a nice game last night, has been a journeyman, kind of bounced around the league a little bit. The freshman
Hyatt. Charlie Handegrift.
Yeah, the freshman Hyatt from Tennessee is a nice player. I say he's a freshman. He's actually in his 3rd year, but he hasn't played a ton. Okay. They don't have that Neighbors guy. So he was able to generate a lot of this stuff with just a so-so supporting group at receiver. The second thing was we love this Giants defensive line. They have put so many resources into that. They got some dudes up there. After the first quarter, they put Philly in their pocket, man. Saquon didn't have any room to move, and they put some pressure on Jalen Hurts. And it wasn't just
stars Burns.
And it wasn't just the stacks, but he misses, I forgot, it might have been Devontae Smith. He misses a wide open, would have been about an 80-yard touchdown the second half. I thought he was starting to feel the pressure a little bit, and Hurts usually doesn't. He can buy himself all the kind of time in the world you want with your legs. They didn't let, other than the 4 consecutive tush pushes, which, we had to stomach.
That
Hurts didn't beat him with his legs last night
either.
They're
missing the illegal procedures. Tush push had no chance to survive for next year. Put me on that one.
You know what?
Because it was close last year. No, this is enough.
Because this is a standalone game, and everybody watched him run it 4 consecutive times and get away with the right guard with the false start. I think you're right.
This is not the first time with him completely. They said it's too close where they can't see the illegal procedures.
Yeah.
Because what was the other game? It was not even close. They did it.
It was like 2 games ago where the league said we're going to really start to monitor this. But this is the first time they've ever run it 4 times in a row. Maybe they have.
100% the first time.
So everybody's watching this game going, do we really want to watch this over and over again?
Yes.
And we've been saying that for a while.
And I don't want to see the wide receiver wrapped up in the lineman, the tight end come push him either. I want to see assisting the runner be about like it was.
Right.
It's forever for 100 years of football till 2005. The Bush push was illegal at that time.
I would like to see it go away.
I think it's going away.
Fun game to watch, though, last night.
You can get away with anything in moderation. I think the Eagles overdid it last night to where, okay, this is not entertaining. Let's run a play. Let's run a damn play.
But, okay, we want to be entertained. Sirianni's trying to win the game. He's got a 3rd down and was it 3? He's like, my best chance to get the first
here
is to run this 2 times, and then you're first and goal from the 2.
Super Bowl hangover, but it's like a carousel of the malcontents. One day it's A.J. Brown. One day, and what's happening?
They threw the ball to him last night.
Well, Devontae Smith's now unhappy.
They threw the ball to him, too.
Okay, well, where's the touches for Saquon?
Yeah.
You got away with that and allowed Denver to come back. He looked damn good on the wheel route because he ran away from people. So
yeah. I don't blame him for running this 4 straight times. It's his best chance to score, but the league.
One of Scadaboo's best plays in his career. No, his career.
Oh.
Because he is a guy, again, that is, for his size, is just off the charts athletic. You don't see guys with his build and his power that can do the things he did. Now, he tried to put on a show for us New Year's Day with Arizona State against Texas in Atlanta. But Sacramento State, the other team, and he's on the hands team, another sign. I don't care where you're playing. That guy's how many guys his build on the hands team? All right?
Not many.
Okay. So he's on the hands team. They onside kick. My man takes it and goes and carries like 4 guys into the end zone.
Yeah.
And even a low level, like he is a freak athlete.
Did you see I usually don't watch who cares about the celebration? He did a backflip. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's like
a standing backflip from a
standing
5'11", 215
The guys that are
pound.
doing that are some of the elite athletic wide receivers in the league.
Yeah.
He is a freak for how built he is.
Yeah, you don't expect that from a guy 5'11", 215 pounds.
Here at Ruffino's, I wonder if Macero's on hold in critiquing my pronunciation. Bring it, big boy. All right, fire-roasted Gulf oysters, the smoked tomato oysters with the smoked tomato butter, the Calabrian chili, and the toasted almonds and Romano cheese. Oven-roasted stuffed shrimp is our second appetizer here at Ruffino's with blue crab stuffing and a orange beurre blanc. Don't mess with me on my French, boy. Butter steak, the 8-ounce ribeye cap with the potato and turnip pave, grilled asparagus, house-made Worcestershire. Suggested wine pairing is the Duckhorn Cabernet out of Napa, which is outstanding. The Marsala feature, the rich Marsala veal reduction, local mushrooms, capellini pasta, chicken or veal options for the Marsala. And the suggested wine pairing is an Oregon Trail Pinot Noir from Willamette. And our dessert feature is the pot de creme, chocolate custard, whipped hazelnut creme, toasted hazelnuts. Bam! Lock of the week. How about that? 7-1 Lotter weeks. Lotterocks. Okay, Leah. 7-1 Lotterocks. How about Alex at the Starbucks? You don't have, you're fine. You're fine. It's your day. And I told you fall was coming. Bam!
And 3-0 on the hockey. Live at lunch, Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investment.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, Chris Macero live, I think from Las Vegas right now. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir. We're still out here. We're watching all these games and a lot of exciting crazy things happening, especially last night. As you guys went over that Phillies-Dodger game, I still can't believe what I was watching.
Yeah, you ait. All right, the ball's hit to you. What do you do? Yeah, but, it's put the ball in play, man. Put the ball in play. And, there are putts and there are pressure putts. There are free throws and there are pressure free throws. And there are low comebackers and there are pressure comebackers. So, the Dodgers really have struggled against left-handed pitching this year, and against Suarez after the first pitch and Sanchez last night. That would have been interesting going back to Philadelphia. What about tonight's game with Tarik Skubal, best pitcher in baseball past 2 years, but the games where he has started, he has not gotten a loss, but Seattle's 3-0 against him. But damn, how many times can you get away from that? He's been really good in this postseason.
Yeah, I have a Detroit Tigers at 11-1 for the AL from April, so I'm hanging on to that. I did a couple future parlays with some things. I took Seattle plus 1.5, hoping I can thread the needle with the Detroit win. I don't really know. The Seattle's have trouble scoring. Detroit's had trouble scoring, except for a couple innings where there's just a big outburst. So could it be a 1-0 type of game? Yes. Could it be, maybe Scooble's tiring? I don't know. He pitched pretty good on Sunday night. They squeezed him on a call. Next thing you know, it was a home run. So, I mean, it's not like he's pitched bad, but it seems like when he pitches, they don't get many runs for him, as been the case with a lot of these aces throughout the year. So I don't really have a great read in the game. Hopefully it's exciting. As for last night, though, I still can't believe that when he walked the guy on a questionable call on Kike Hernandez, I believe it was would have been the second strike. They called it a ball. Next pitch, he swung and missed, so he should have struck out. He ends up walking him. They all go to the mound to discuss what to do, and I just can't believe after they go to the mound, everyone's doing the powwow, that he throws it home. Even when the catchers tell him to throw it to first. There's a bunch of photos of it. It's just still crazy.
We haven't had a chance to talk to you since that little sleepy game, that nondescript game between the Cardinals and Titans on Sunday.
You just love the SDK stuff, don't you?
I mean, well, he had already lost all of his survivor picks of that, but I kind of balk a little bit, especially when there's so many, nearly 20,000 entries into Survivor that, we can say, oh, well, I was so close, in early October, all right? But this is an all-timer how you lose this one. I mean, this one had everything, huh, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and I'm not sure. I don't have the exact stats on it, but just in my recent memory, when a player runs across the goal line like that and drops the ball, I almost feel like every single time the team loses the game. It happened this week with Arizona. It happened 2 weeks ago with the Colts. It happened last year with Jonathan Taylor again with the Colts against Denver.
Lost to Denver,
and they all three of those teams lost the game. So I feel like it's happened a bunch more. As soon as the play happened and they gave them the ball at the 20-yard line or whatever it was, I went on. I played at plus 800 live, and it wasn't obviously a big bet, and it came home. I just feel like there's something of like the momentum swing, and granted that other play where that play might even been crazier when the ball got picked off, the guy falls down, fumbles, they kick it into the end zone, they recover. That was crazier than the play where the guy drops the ball at the goal line. But something happens when teams do that. The air gets sucked out of the balloon, and the momentum definitely shifts the other way. So got a little lucky with the plus 800 bet.
Okay, well, our buddy Jeff G had a tough one too. All right, there was another pick six last year. I forget who it was that he dropped the ball going in. It was actually he kind of lost control of it. I don't know if it was voluntarily, but I know you'll remember this one. Our buddy Jeff G had first touchdown scorer, Malachi Corley for the Jets on Thursday night at like 100-1 or something like that. And now they still won it. It was against the Bills, Max. Was that right on that Thursday night game? Chris, you got to remember that, right? You don't remember the Malachi Corley?
I do remember that name and that he dropped it, but I don't remember the exact circumstances of the.
Oh, it's early. It was the first game. It was the first score of the game. They still won, but in upset Buffalo at home, the Jets won. I mean, they had very
Houston Texans.
Oh, the Texans. I'm sorry.
Texans, it was the Texans Thursday night. Yep.
Yeah, the kicker doinked one, in that game.
It was 21-13.
It was in New York, and no.
Oh, so that was Thursday before. That was the Thursday before Breeders' Cup last year. I do remember that because I had my guys in town for a Breeders' Cup, and we watched that game. We were like, "Wow, this was a little bit shocking result."
Halloween night last year.
There you go. Jeff G said, "There are bad beats. Check this one out, Jimmy." I'm like, I didn't know what to say to him. I mean, first stop score like 125-1. All right, let's get to your picks for your 5-pack for this week in college football. What are we looking at?
All right, I'll give you one tonight. I bet it at 59.5 over Rutgers, Washington. I mean, this Rutgers defense is bad. They gave up 31 to Ohio, who has trouble scoring against anyone. Same with Miami of Ohio. They gave up 17 to them. They gave up 38 to Iowa in a shootout game, 38-28. They lost. Gave up 31 to another offensively challenged team, Minnesota, 31-28 they lost. And if you look at Washington, they scored 38 versus Colorado State, 70 versus UC Davis, 59 versus Washington State. Yes, the last two games have been, not that great on offense, even though they had a nice comeback on the second half last week versus Maryland. But Maryland and Ohio State, those are two of the better defenses especially stopping the run in the country. And Ohio State might be the best defense in the country. So I think Washington gets back on track offensively, and this Rutgers team plays fast, and I think they can put up some points as well. So I'm going to go over. I think we're up to 60.5 now. I still think it's going to go over. I think it's going to be one of those. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of those shootout games tonight up in Washington.
Down 20-3 late in the College Park, Maryland. Washington went 61. Damon Williams. He went a total of 13 of 14 for 163 yards and some rushing yards, as well as they drove it 80 yards, 75 and 72 yards in consecutive touchdown drives to steal it in College Park. Next pick.
Okay, another total. This was a curious one to me. UCF and Cincinnati. It opened at 55, the total. I went over initially, and it came right down to 53. I bet more on it. I think we're teetering between 53 and 55. You look at this Cincinnati offense. I mean, it is a elite offense. We discussed this last week. Top 8 in the country, 7.2 yards per play. Very explosive offense. Last week, 474 yards versus Iowa State, and about 150 yards were called back on penalties. The previous week, 603 yards against Kansas. And on the flip side, their defense isn't that great. 93rd in the country, giving up 6 yards per play. UCF can move it a little bit. They have good defensive numbers, but if you look at it, the first 3 games they played Jacksonville State, NC-A&T, and North Carolina. Not the strongest offenses. The last 2 games they played Kansas and Kansas State, and they gave them 6.3 and 6.4 yards a play. So I think the UCF defense is a little fugazi, and Cincinnati's going to score no matter what. And they give up a lot, too. So I think this game goes way over the total. I think that's why when the number came to 53, we're starting to see a little more over money now. I like it over whatever number, 53, 54, 55.
Currently 54.5 at the DraftKings outlet, our local outlet here in Baton Rouge. Third pick, Chris.
Okay, going for another total here. Kansas and Texas Tech. Now, you would think shootout, this is going to be high scoring, the old days of Texas Tech. Well, you know what? Texas Tech is a defensive stalwart this year, one of the better defenses in the country. 4-point yards per play, very similar to Missouri defense that Kansas had already played this year. And in that game, Kansas only got 251 yards. So I expect a lower scoring game here. This total is up at 60. I think we're down to 59.
59.5.
You know, Kansas just doesn't get many plays off, too. They're either big play or nothing. They did have a few big plays last week, but I'm just concerned with this strong Texas Tech defense. We've heard about it, how much they paid for it. One of the most expensive NIL teams in the country. And they're just playing really well right now. I mean, they're one of the. I saw the odds from since I've been in Vegas. Westgate had them at 60-1 last week, 41. They're down to 25-1 to win the national championship. So this team's for real. They're going to score some points, but most of their games have gone under this season. The last 3, 35-11, 34-10, 45-14, all under the last 3 Texas Tech games. I expect another under versus Kansas this Saturday.
All right, Kansas, that's in Lubbock against the Jayhawks there. Texas Tech, again, yeah, I've got them one of my top 5 teams, power rated as well. Last 2 picks.
Let me give you a side here. I took Pittsburgh plus 11. I think we're down to 10 now. This Florida State team, I think the air's out of the balloon, so to speak. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs now. They beat, East Texas A&M. Yeah, they beat Alabama, but I think that was more Alabama beating themselves. Ty Simpson wasn't prepared. We're seeing a totally different Ty Simpson now. But, I mean, they beat East Texas A&M and Kent State, okay? They lost to Virginia. They lost to Miami. Last week was kind of a mess. Castellanos has 5 turnovers, 5 interceptions his last 3 games. Pittsburgh has made a crazy switch from Eli Holtze, who got benched, but enter freshman Mason Henschel, 30 for 41, 323, 4 touchdowns, 73 completion percentage. Pittsburgh, an unknown stat, number 1 on defense against the rush in the country, only 1.9 yards per play. It sets up perfectly for this type of game. You're going to stop the Florida State rushing attack, make Castellanos beat you. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll take the points in this game. I think Pittsburgh hangs around. They're going in one direction. I think FSU is going in the other.
Freshman making his first road start in a hostile environment. We'll see about if Florida State carries over, has that Penn State carryover from week one, because that was not the same Penn State team that played UCLA that played the previous game against Oregon. We'll see if Florida State has a hangover effect there. But this will be the freshman's first road start. Will be interesting. Last one, Chris, before we go to a break.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We're going another total. We're going to go under. I know I played it at 43 because I thought worst case scenario, you're going to have Michael Hawkins playing. Instead, we're going to possibly get Mateer. Apparently he's going to play, but how good is he going to be? I think the total's up to 45 or 44 and a half. They're going up against Oklahoma, who's 6th in yards per pass attempt, 3rd in yards per rush attempt, only giving up 2.0 yards per rush. I don't really see Texas. I mean, unless Arch Manning turns into something he's not, I just don't see it happening. And I don't think Mateer is going to be that healthy. I think they're going to probably do a more grinded-out type of style. He's not going to be throwing the ball all over the field. When he said the biggest problem is gripping the football and the pain tolerance of throwing it, I just don't think Texas can really do much offensively, and Texas got a great defense. So I think this is an under game. I'm going to bet it more under today at 45. Circa had a 45 up there, so I just think it's a low-scoring game, and probably definitely under first half, too. I don't see that the offense is doing much, and the defenses have been stout all year. I don't think much is going to change in that rivalry.
Yes, indeed. And don't worry about if Venables rolls out Mateer to dress out and warm up, because he's done that before, and that player didn't even play in this game a couple of years ago, and that was Dylan Gabriel. Follow Chris on Twitter. It's entertaining. You wonder if our guests are actually betting the games, betting the picks that they're putting out?
I have never wondered that. I have never one time wondered that.
Hey, Jimmy, listen. Yeah. Let me give you one future play, and
okay.
Everyone's anointing Miami the winner of the ACC. You can still get Duke at 15-1 at DraftKings for ACC champ. They do not play Miami. They play Georgia Tech next week off a bye. You can even hedge right away. Take a little Georgia Tech if you want, because Georgia Tech's going to be underdog. It's at Duke. They only play Clemson after that. After the rest of the games are layups. Duke has a legit shot to get to this ACC championship game if they can get by Georgia Tech and Clemson the next 2 weeks. I think 15-1 is a great value bet.
Mensa has started to hit his stride with his new surroundings, his new supporting cast as well. At Real Gage, that's Gadge, at Real Gage. Chris Massaro, follow him on Twitter. Chris, good luck to you this weekend, buddy. Hope you hit them all,
have fun, guys. I'll talk to you Sunday.
All right, don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. If your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine does, don't do like I did and not use Relief Windows originally. After about 10, 12 years, this window is done. South Louisiana condition. This one needs to be replaced. The mold, the heat, the snow. I mean, a little bit of the rain, a little bit of everything in the South Louisiana. Extreme weather conditions make it so tough. That's why you got to get the wood windows from Relief Windows. Relief Windows, the windows are used by they are built using R-Last wood. The gel windows come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites, providing you years of beauty and minimal maintenance. They look good, they're functional, and they last. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, 288-8138.
Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's on 101.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Here we can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. Brought to you by Supreme Rice, supporting Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. Go to SupremeRice.com.
All right, let's go to Troy Macker and see where all the action is for this weekend. Troy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, before we get to see where the steam is for this weekend's college and pro action, what about the 10? What's the biggest takeaway from you guys' podcast as far as Big Ten action coming this week? I know I've got one as one of my 5-pack in the Big Ten this week.
Yeah, obviously 2 big games, Ohio State and Illinois. Ohio State going to Champaign, and then Indiana out at Austin Stadium to take on Oregon. And, the Oregon-Indiana game is going to be the most bet-on game of the weekend in college. The angle I was on Wednesday was, these are 2 track teams that are going to get up and score. Over-under was 55. I was pretty confident about that, even though, this is not the same Oregon team that just had blazing Olympic-caliber speed 10 years ago. The numbers come down to 53 and a half, and I don't usually change my tune, but I am a little nervous that maybe Oregon's defense is much better. It was 3-3 at the half against Penn State. It was a low-scoring game in enemy territory. So, I think I have to switch to take under 53 and a half. I think this game could be played in the 20s. It should be a fascinating game. And then, there's a couple other, I gotta like an Iowa under when it's in the 30s. But Iowa, right now is the strongest spread play of the weekend by the split. There's like 94% of the spread money is backing Iowa -3 at Camp Randall against a very bad Wisconsin team. So it's a really fascinating slate. Also Nebraska at Maryland. Maryland's lost 9 of the last 10 home games against conference opponents. They had that bad loss last week to Washington. I see this Nebraska game kind of mirroring that. I think it's going to be around 4 points and should be played, in and around 50, which will hit the over at 47. So just a really interesting week of Big Ten football.
I think you just looked over my shoulder. Call me John Q. Public because I love all of these games.
Oh, as far as
the Big Ten, the Big Ten, yeah. I got sides on most of these
Troy,
games.
Oregon, Indiana. I know it's a great game. We've seen the line. The look-ahead line was 10.5. It's 7.5 now. But that's not usually the teams involved. That's the most highly bet games at Bet Rivers on an annual basis.
Yeah. No, I think the win that Oregon had against Penn State was huge for them in the public eye. They're now in year 2 of the Big Ten. We obviously have a huge Big Ten footprint at Bet Rivers. Indiana has been the darlings of college football for the last 2 years. Indiana's obviously a big footprint for us at Bet Rivers. I think at this point, especially woodshedding Illinois, which was a ranked team at the time, really put them into, okay, this is a legitimate team. This is no longer a fluke. Certainly how long is this going to last? You got to keep recruiting, hit the portal. But for right now, this team is a legitimate. There's no questions about whether or not they're one of the best teams in the country. Certainly, are they the best? We will find out this Saturday. But I'm not overly surprised. If you would have told me last year that next year's Indiana-Oregon game is going to be the most wagered on, I would have told you you're crazy. But I can get why it's so popular this week.
Well, Illinois, we could debate on how good they are, but Indiana didn't have a game like that last year. They just didn't. I mean, their best win was against a struggling Michigan team who barely could get a first down at that time. This is a run-based program from a run-based coach that they outrushed by 310 yards. And this is still going to be an 8 or 9 type of win team in Illinois. I mean, they didn't beat teams of that caliber the way they did, okay? So they're better up front, where they got pushed around in the 2 games against Ohio State and Notre Dame. What else are the 2 teams that played for the national championship game? I mean, they beat up on some weak teams. They couldn't compete against the stronger teams. But they didn't have a win. So can they play? And look, Oregon's different. It wasn't just talk with Dan Lanning. He wanted to be a line of scrimmage program, and they are, man. I mean, 17 points on the road against Penn State. That's in regulation. That's pretty stingy. Pretty stingy. 3 very late in the game. So, Troy, give us a couple of picks, your favorite picks this week.
Yeah, and you want to stay in college?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go off the beaten path here a little bit, but I like Miami, Ohio, cover at Akron. Akron's no good. It's -11. I wish it was, like 9.5, but whatever. And the public is backing me on that. 88% of the money there is on Miami to cover. I had a chance to watch a little bit more Old Dominion. They're in my market, and, I put on the Octobox on my TV. They're -14.5 at Marshall. That's another strong public play. I've been following, that 80% club. If you can get me 80% of the tickets and the money on the same side, I like to play that. Right now they're looking at 81% of the money on them to cover at Marshall and 87% of the tickets. I do like Maryland to cover against Nebraska. I think they're probably going to lose again at home. I think they'll probably lose by 3 or 4, but it's Maryland plus 6.5. And I do like the over 47 in that game as well. I think it's probably going to end up being a 27-24 game, and that'll give you 51. Good enough for the over. Tough
loss for the Terrapins last week. There's no doubt. 20-3. very late in the third quarter. And, yeah, the Monarchs Old Dominion have been one of the kind of Cinderella stories this year, certainly in the Sun Belt. And that 27-14 loss that's the most competitive game that Indiana's played. The Iowa game, but I mean, winning in Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, and firing a coach there, Virginia Tech. So, no, Old Dominion's been a popular team. All right, give me your best. Give me one. And we'll repurpose it, Jordan, for Football Sunday, live from Caesars Sportsbook in New Orleans this weekend. But your best NFL pick in about 45-second explanation why.
Broncos -7 against the Jets. Yeah, I don't typically love the overseas games because it's just a different environment. The grass is different. Everything about it is different. But I have no faith in this Jets team. And I really like what I've seen out of the Broncos. They keep getting better. I don't think they're going to blow them out, but I do think they're going to be a touchdown ahead. It's a very popular play. It's a very strongly backed play on the percentages. I'm all over the Broncos to cover against the Jets.
Damn, that's an early game, so that'll be early. So that'll be Charlie when we're driving down. So we'll be on Troy's pick, huh?
I like that.
Are we gonna? Is that a teaser pick? Or are you gonna lay the points? Or, I mean, I can see Justin Fields and his passing numbers are the same as they are usually every year. I could see, and those games get stuck in the mud a little bit. Maybe the turf, maybe it's a little bit slower, but that might be an underpick as well.
Well, the Broncos are so good defensively.
They're pretty good.
They got Konas, man. They got Konas,
and they got a first-round pick playing nickel,
and they got the NFL's leading sack guy in Bonita. So they got a little bit of everything.
He's got a little chance, to be the defensive player of the year this year. There's no doubt. All right, Troy. Good luck to you, man. I'm sorry, but anything else that sticks out with sort of the early action leading into the weekend in college or pro?
Yeah, Colts -7.5 against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are kind of listless. The Colts have been the story of the NFL. But 8% of the money is on the Colts to cover. That's almost twice as much as the second most wagered on play. It's very strong. 90% of the money is on the split. 77% of the tickets. I don't know if I can trust them just yet, but it's very interesting to see how much people have killed Daniel Jones to now be backing a Daniel Jones-led team so strongly.
Maybe switch a quarterback too, Max. Maybe check that out first. Jacoby Brissett has a chance to start for Kyler Murray. Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macher. That's MACHIR. Troy, good luck to you this weekend, man. We'll talk to you Monday recapping the weekend.
Have a great one, guys. Thank you.
Don't forget Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services. What you get when you dial 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Marion Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at lunch from Rufino's.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
A couple of pro quarterback updates as we get deeper into the week there. Lamar Jackson's still out for Baltimore, along with Roquan Smith. The Ravens' injury problems continue, so not looking for Lamar. Instead, Cooper Rush on Sunday. But Arizona does have Kyler Murray back at practice this week. Looks like he may be a go against the Colts on Sunday.
If Lamar Jackson was playing, that line was really off at 7.5 on the road. So, yeah, they're usually not that wrong.
Yeah,
so
they've
the
got
Kyler Murray thing. Some people thought had a chance there, but Brissett, no, he's practicing. We'll see. Usually this afternoon is where a lot of the reports come out. Who's in? Who's out.
If they haven't practiced by now, they're probably not going to play. If they can get back today, they've got a shot. The Ravens are just down so many people. I mean, it's not just Jackson. It's Roquan Smith. Who else is out, Max?
Well, Awuzie's been out for them for a while, one of their best corners. He returned to practice today, so we'll see. It's a hamstring injury. Don't know if he'll go, but they've got so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you don't see them better than a touchdown underdog at home. Ever.
Well, Philadelphia, with Kelsey. Now you start to feel it when the two other linemen are out.
Yes.
And so
yeah.
I mean, Jalen Hurts gets too much blame for that. The quarterback. I mean, jeez. So.
And we're watching highlights here as we go to break. Cordell Flott in the slot last night. Almost a pick six last night. Yeah. But he had a really nice return on that. Live at lunch from Rufino's. Lock of the Week Friday. Text Morris said we're doing.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Lock of the Week Friday here from Rufino's. Yes, indeed. So, our weekend schedule, Charlie, pregame from Rouse's. What time you guys get started?
1:45.
On the flagship on Eagle 98.1. So, what time you guys calling me?
Talk to Musa. Musa does the logs. I just show up.
All right, and football Sunday originates this Sunday. If you're going down to the, how about the feel of this Patriots-Saints game all of a sudden? Huh?
It's got a little bit of juice now. There's people feeling good about the Saints and really good about the Patriots.
Saints on my I've elevated them on my power rating, from 1 to 32 to number 1 now. That they crushed the Giants and the Giants crushed the champs. So Saints are number 1 on my power poll. So
I know you're being sarcastic, but they're not last.
Spencer Rattler,
they are not last, and Spencer Rattler is not last.
Yeah, Rattler 11th in the NFL in EPA per play adjusted.
I'm going to tell you who is last.
I don't have him 11th either.
I'll tell you what.
Last.
I just can't get over the one snap that Russell Wilson took for the Giants last night. Daboll's going nuts. The fans are going nuts. I mean, does Daboll think what quarterback gives him the best chance at saving his job? Wilson or Daboll? I don't know. Oh, we know.
After watching Russell Wilson the last couple of times, I'm surprised Jameis Winston in the second quarterback over
Brucey,
really.
did you see that game last night, huh?
Yes, I was actually watching it in the sports book, and the panic from the Giants fans when Russ had to go out there for that one snap. They were praying for Dark to get out of that tent as soon as he could.
Is that
so much to the point that the NFL's investigating this now that the Giants rushed him back through the protocol, Max?
Investigating the concussion protocol, the way they went through it. You saw the doctor go up to Daboll, and Daboll's giving him an earful.
Oh, so. No. The doctor did not go up to Daboll. Oh, Daboll went and got that doctor. Oh, yeah.
I think panic's a good word, but I think Bruce got the right word there.
Yes, it was 60 seconds of like, oh, man. So, Brucey, were you in the sports book on Sunday for the late games, the late stretches with Arizona, Tennessee? Bruce, you're a great historian. We leaned on you to place these things properly, but this is the 5th time in the last 2 seasons, and with the 2 seasons, we're 5 games in, less than a third, 28-30% into this one. You're talking about a season and a quarter. This has happened 5 times in the NFL, and then it sets up an all-timer for money line parlays being busted up, survivor pools. Max, that was his entry. So, what's this remind you of, Bruce?
Wow, I can't even explain it. I mean, it's like my wife's hairstyles. I can't explain what she's doing, and I can't explain what the Cardinals did. Because it was multiple things. I mean, this throwing the ball away before you cross the end line, before the goal line. That it's happened even once, not multiple times, but even once boggles my mind. But it seems to keep happening. But that wasn't all. I mean, everything the Cardinals did the last 11 or so minutes of that game was wrong. And I'm not sure that was more egregious. It's hard to get more egregious than what DeMarcado did, but. Then the next touchdown the Titans scored after the interception, and the guy fumbles when he hits the ground, and then it gets kicked in the end zone, and the Titans end up with a touchdown, and it was just for multiples of plays that went completely pear-shaped on a team. I had a hard time recalling one ever as bad as that.
What about the 3rd and 8 just run up the middle by Arizona? It's got almost like, we'll play defense here. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, they needed to do something a little more creative there because they were putting themselves in a position where they could possibly get beat. And it was almost like they were playing as if they didn't think this could happen because the play calling got stale. But I'll tell you, this team has a death wish about it, and they could be sitting here 5-0 right now, really easily. But I saw that the San Francisco game a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they had one play late in the game, like I think inside of 2 minutes, just get the bloody first down, you win the game. Couldn't execute it, and the Seattle game was frustrating too. And then last week, something is up here, and you can tell Gannon's losing his cool, then he gets fined, and then Kyler Murray does not. He hadn't smiled all year, and now we'll see about his status for the Sunday game. So, I mean, this team has a death wish like I haven't seen in a long time in the NFL, and they're really not that bad, but they keep finding ways to lose. It's unbelievable.
Okay, but they flirted with disaster when they were up. I think it was like 27-3 or 27-0. Charlie, we were in New Orleans watching that. Carolina had the ball.
Yeah,
inside the 40-yard line in a 5-point game. The Saints in a 7-point game had Jawan Johnson had his hands on the ball in the end zone. I would think that the rookie coach might go for 2 there. By the way, looking at Philadelphia last night, do they miss Kellen Moore? That's part of the equation, too. Kind of gets me wondering that the Saints might have a look. But all 5 of the games, 7, 5, 1, 3, and 1. I mean, they're catching a lot of points this week. Before we get into the college plays, Bruce, let's start with your best NFL play. Who we like in the NFL and why?
I'm going back to the Broncos this week, and you have to wake up early to watch this game over in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But the Broncos, that was a nice flight to London. They went straight there from Philadelphia last week. They got something going again here now. The defense, that was a big shot of a big boost. I mean, I had thought this defense was getting a little bit too overrated. But then they come with a game like that last week, and the pressure they put on Jalen Hurts in the second half, they really shut that Philadelphia thing down. The Eagles are mad at some of their play calling, but I think Denver's defense had a lot to do with it. And Bo Nix got much more confident as the game went on, but mostly because, one, you got the Jets on the other side. Here's another team with a death wish here. Justin Fields just doesn't – I mean, there's things about being a quarterback in the NFL to win games, and it's more than about putting up stats and occasional, your fantasy numbers and that. Fields is not a winning quarterback. This is not going to work for the Jets. It's not working. But look last year what Denver did when it was a favorite. Covered all 7 as a favorite with a lot of thumping wins over teams they outclassed. Denver did not leave much doubt in those games last year. They take care of business, and this defense can really rattle a team that is kind of sloppy on offense like the Jets. And 2 weeks ago, we saw that against the Bengals. That score could have been worse than 28-3. I mean, the only game where they really didn't quite execute is a real favorite, that first game against Tennessee. And even then, they almost had a chance to cover at the end. But they're a good favorite. The Jets are sloppy. And by the way, we're almost 57 years to the day on Sunday to the biggest upset win in point spread-wise in modern NFL history. October 13, 1968, the Broncos went into Shea Stadium and intercepted Joe Namath 5 times in a 21-13 win as a 22-point underdog. They are not a 22-point underdog on Sunday. They're a favorite, and they will handle this number. I'll give you a 27-13 final score for Denver.
Very good, Bruce. I need one more that's played in the States so we can repurpose for Sunday's show. You got any in the States, Bruce? I know you love that damn Europe.
Well, I will give you one more. I mean, the Saints are interesting now, and I'm glad I heard you guys talking about Spencer Rattler. He ain't playing that bad. And only that Seattle game is the only game where they really kind of laid an egg. So they're battling. I think this might be a good game. But I'm going to give you Miami as another secondary pick. I think this game's going to be close. The Chargers are really, they have got some injury issues. Their backfield has been wiped out. They don't protect Justin Herbert all that well either. And Miami, there's another team that's sort of a death wish, Miami, but they're usually close. And, anything over a field goal, which you're getting with this game comes down to a field goal. I think I'd rather have beyond the 3.5, 4, whatever we're getting with Miami now. So that'll be my secondary pick on Sunday.
Very good, Bruce. All right, let's get to your 5-pack in college football. Who are we looking at?
Let's go up to ACC. Let's go up to Chestnut Hill. Clemson laying, we got 14 here or so, 14.5 maybe. Listen, they took it. Dabo showed admirable restraint last week. He didn't want to embarrass Belichick. They could have scored 70 points, I think, in that game, but they really took their foot off the pedal. But Clemson actually might be able to put something together here now. The pressure is sort of off them now. We know they're good. I never thought they were great. They were well overrated before, but in this company, they can do some business in the ACC. Lubnik and Fan, they finally got the offense going some last week. It can continue here. I think Boston College, Jimmy and Charlie, is a real mess right now. And you talk about the gloss is off the shine there for the hire of Bill O'Brien last year. This has gone hair-shaped in a hurry for them. They have got issues starting the season. Now the defense has been decimated by injuries. They are imbalanced offensively. They were one of the top passing teams in the country with Lonigan. They can't run at all. And then last week, that debacle at Pitt, Bill O'Brien started juggling his quarterbacks. He used 3 of them. This is a bad situation right now, very bad. And I think Clemson's going to, they've got some good football left in it. So I'll lay the 2 touchdowns with the Tigers tomorrow up there in Chestnut Hill. There's one.
Clemson currently 14 at our DraftKings outlet, the Queen, here in Baton Rouge at Chestnut Hill. 6:30 p.m. Central kickoff in Chestnut Hill. Next, Bruce.
Okay, Jimmy, let's go to the Big Ten here, and let's go to the early kickoff on Big Ten Network. UCLA, what do you know? Last week, I know you guys have talked about it this week. What happened to Penn State? What happened to UCLA? How did they all of a sudden get so good? Maybe it was just a one-off, but I think they were just so underachieving earlier when Foster was there, disorganized. And we've seen this before. All it sometimes takes is just a coach in there to get this thing sort of straightened out. And Tim Skipper, as an interim last year, he didn't do a bad job at Fresno. And in fact, that was his second time as an interim at Fresno, right at the end of the season a few years before, the first time Tedford had to step down. A lot of people up there thought he should have got the job on a full-time basis. They're much more organized. He switched up the coordinators. Jerry Neuheisel did a really good job as the play caller last week. Good for him. And Nico, let me tell you who he reminds me of. And it just sort of hit me last week. Colin Kaepernick. He is just on the field, not the off-the-field stuff. But watch Nico's game. I mean, it's like we're watching Kaepernick again at Reno. The stuff he can do, I mean, everything. He's built like him. He runs like him. He sort of throws like him. And they can build an offense around him, and he can make some things happen. Also, UCLA was running the ball last week. Listen, Michigan State has come in the back door 2 games in a row to get covers, or they'd be looking at a 10-game spread losing streak. They've been a bad favorite. I hear there's internal sniping going on up there. I think there's some credit. I think he pulled the quarterback Childs last week for a bit. Michigan State, this number should not be going up. UCLA might, that's 2 games in a row they've covered with Skipper now. I think they make it 3 in a row and they cover this one with a shot at a win at East Lansing.
Thank goodness they pulled the Familia Vahej so because he got us the backdoor cover, because Childs was atrocious last week, and so was Michigan State's punt team. They had a punt blocked for a touchdown. They had a punt returned for a touchdown against Nebraska last week. Yeah, I'd say they ran the ball pretty good. Nico, I think that's good. Left-handed Kaepernick. Yeah, not bad. He threw for 166, but 158 of the 166 in the first half. They only had 8 yards passing in the second half. Rushing the football, 269 on the ground will help a lot. They'll make the play caller look good. They'll make the quarterback look good. And Nico was a lot of those rushing yards as well, but still, he was their leading rusher for the game last week with 128 of that 269. Bruce, your third pick.
All right, let's take another Pac-12. Old Pac-12, new Big Ten game, Michigan, Southern California variety, and actually Michigan, Southern Cal. So the game at the Coliseum tomorrow afternoon will be a 6:30 p.m. Central kickoff tomorrow. Michigan. Now, that game last week, you guys might have tuned in a little bit, Wisconsin, that was not an easy watch. There were not many style points scored in that game, and I heard a rumor that they were using replays of Michigan-Wisconsin in lieu of community service for punishment in the court system at Ann Arbor. But let me say this about Michigan, Jimmy, Charlie. Listen to this for a second. Their last 7 games, okay? Go back to the end of last year. Included in those, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Nebraska. None of those games were played at the Big House. None of them. They were on the road and won a bowl game. They won 3 of those games. They won outright 3 of those games, and none of them were at home. And so the eye test, maybe they don't always pass it. But darn it, the results are there for this team. And I give Sharon more credit, even Dick Poja, those couple games along with him, and the ability to win. They beat USC last year, early in the season, when they had no passing game whatsoever. Orgy was in 32 yards passing. They still won the game because they could run. And this is what has been a problem for USC, these line of scrimmage teams. They keep losing to them in the Big Ten. It was Illinois 2 weeks ago. This defense, little false alarm early. I don't think they're much better than they were last year. And Bryce Underwood, he's coming around. Slow development, but he is coming around a little bit. The numbers are better. He had a nice touchdown run, a long run against Nebraska to help win that game a couple weeks ago. This is a team that knows how to win, and you're getting a couple points. I think they win, and Lincoln Riley got to start looking over his shoulder here. They got Notre Dame after this one. If they don't get this, this season could be gone by the time, well before we get to Halloween. He's working for a new AD. He's working for a new school president, and he's got a big buyout there, but he could also start looking around. Keep an eye on this situation. I'm taking Michigan, though, tomorrow plus the points.
It reminds me of Bo Schembechler's last game back at, what year was that against USC in the Rose Bowl?
The bowl game, yeah. The Rose Bowl, 89 Rose Bowl, yep.
89.
The 89 Rose Bowl. All right, Brucey, your fourth pick.
Yeah. Let's go to Corvallis. And you talk about a odd intersectional. This is what you get with Oregon State trying to schedule games where they can. I'm not sure why Wake Forest had to travel out there, but that's what they're doing. So an odd travel situation for Wake Forest, to say the least. It's almost as odd as Oregon State going back to App State last week. How about that one? They lost that game. They've also lost all their other games this season. And I cannot think of a team that is performing much worse, unless maybe we're talking about Boston College and a few others, and underachieving more, and in just a more depressing environment right now than Oregon State. They want this season over with. They want to get to the new Pac-12 next year, but this is fraying eternally. They have fired their special teams coordinator this week. Trent Bray is worried about his job. The AD, Scott Barnes, came out, sent a letter to the boosters apologizing. They're doing everything wrong. The other side, I know the travel is weird for Wake Forest this week, but this team is doing everything right. Nobody expected them to be this good, but it's Jake Dickert waving his magic wand again. His teams punch above their weight. He did this at Washington State. He's made Robbie Ashford look like a competent quarterback. And these are a couple of good efforts. I was wrong on Wake Forest, especially last week. I thought Virginia Tech might get them. No, they won that game in Blacksburg. They should have beat Georgia Tech the week before. And I believe what Dickert is going to sell his team on, and he can do this. And I talked to him in Charlotte at ACC Media Day. He is a very uplifting guy. Guys, this is our prep for a bowl game. This is our dress rehearsal. We're going to take a trip to a new place. We're flying out to Portland. It's beautiful there. We're not going to stop in the city, but the airport's nice. We'll see Mount Hood. We'll drive down to the Willamette Valley. And this is going to be a prep for our bowl game, guys. And let's win one because we want to play in the bowl. They will beat Oregon State. And I'm hearing some people talk about the psychology against Wake here. I don't get it. One team is totally overachieving. One team is totally underachieving. Let's use the eye test here. Go with the overachievers, Wake Forest.
Wake Forest minus the 3. Of course, that's straight from the Bruce Marshall, Director of Chamber of Commerce for the City of Portland.
That's a tough job these days.
Brucey, your last pick this week.
Okay, let's go in the group of 5, group of 6. Let's go up to Reno. It's my favorite place. Where I will move someday, I think, if I don't go to Florida. San Diego State coming in here. Kind of a surprise. What's going on with San Diego State? I am still not quite buying on San Diego State. Maybe because I watched the Washington State game and the Aztecs looked so bad. And I know since then, the Cal game was an eye-opener, but they beat but Cal's apt to do that and just sort of disappear like they did the second half against Duke last week. The Northern Illinois game was one of the worst games. That might be the worst game of the season thus far, 6-3 Aztecs 2 weeks ago. And lastly, Colorado State, which is a real mess. You can throw them in that group of teams that are really struggling right now, and a coach on the hot seat. So I'm not sure what these wins mean. Nevada found a quarterback last week, the freshman Carter Jones. He gave them he's a live wire. He makes plays on the move. He can throw the ball downfield and complete passes. How about this? In just a little over half last week, he recorded as many TD passes, 2, as the other 2 quarterbacks, Chuba Purdy and Blanco, have the whole season. Purdy, who had spent some time at Florida State and Nebraska before, 1 TD pass and 8 picks thus far. They had no downfield passing game. Now they've got something. This kid they like him up there. They're going with him. The runners aren't bad, and the defense has been playing very hard for Jeff Choate. This team is not that bad, and they could have won that game at Fresno last week. You're getting over a touchdown at home. I think that Nevada's the sort of team to watch. I'm going to try to get on board with them early here. I'll take them with the points. I'm not sure they can win it. I think they keep it close. They've got a quarterback now, and I think that could make all the difference.
Home dog, Nevada, Wake Forest, Michigan, UCLA, and Clemson. Brucey, good luck to you this weekend. We will talk to you next week, man. Thank you so much.
Have fun, boys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget Total Maintenance. At Total Maintenance, we are one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest AC and heating companies in South Louisiana. Founded in 1980, my buddy Lucas Ragusa has worked at every level and has so much experience, and just an awesome guy as well. And so, man, he knows what it takes to put together a team that's going to operate efficiently and knows exactly what the customer is looking for. We like to say, service today, every day. That means you call today, you get service today. You'll never sleep hot at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000. And right now, a little bit slower time, so you mentioned my name, Jimmy Hunt. Get half off diagnostics, including after hours, holidays, and weekends. Total Maintenance, 480-1000.
Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's.
Charles Hannegriff's 5-pack of picks. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
2-3 last week. This makes me 15, 13, and 2 for the season.
Yes.
I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got a winning record, but nobody's impressed, right? I mean, I'm just barely.
Oh, you need a little loving, man. Come on, man. Tracy, wake up, girl. Come on.
Let's start out. Let's start out in East Lansing. This one went on.
We love you, Charlie.
This one went on my car. Well, I'm not impressed.
I'm not impressed on the air. I love you, Charlie.
I'm not impressed with me either.
EJ loves you. Everybody loves you.
Oh, it's good to hear. This one went on the card as soon as they hit 0 at the Rose Bowl last week. Give me Michigan. Sorry, Bruce. I'm against you on this one. Michigan State minus 7.5. Look, there was nothing flukish about UCLA's win. They won the game. It wasn't a bunch of crazy turnovers. It wasn't a bunch of crazy special teams plays. It wasn't some catastrophic injury on the other side. They won the game. Give them credit. I don't think they can do it again. I'm not going to use the word fluke because it wasn't a fluke. They won the game. But I will say it was a one-off. I don't think UCLA can do that again. Michigan State, they can move the football. They're coming home after 2 high-scoring road games. They lost both of them, but they can put some points on the board. I don't think UCLA can repeat that performance. Give me Sparty Party minus the 7.5. I'll take a road favorite here, which I'm usually not wild about doing, and I'm going to do it twice this week. So Iowa State minus 2.5 at Colorado. Colorado's got 2 wins, one against Delaware, one against Wyoming. Iowa State's got 5 wins, and that includes Iowa, Arizona. That's Arizona's only loss. By the numbers, Iowa State's a very balanced team. They're not great at everything, but they're not bad at anything, and they're north of Colorado in all of their offensive and defensive numbers. They're coming off a loss. They trailed by 24, and they lost by 8 on the road to what's a pretty decent Cincinnati team. So I was impressed that Iowa State, it just seemed like it took us forever to put them. We were against them last week with Cincinnati. It just took us forever to put them away. Give me Iowa State minus a 2.5 at Colorado. I'm going to take Maryland at home plus a 7 against Nebraska. I said yesterday they were undefeated against the spread. That was an erroneous stat. I missed the one FBS game. They're 3-1 against the spread. Max, I give them credit for one that they ended up not covering on with Maryland, but they're still 3-1 against the number. They covered last week in their only loss of the season against Washington. They blew a 20-0 lead. This is Nebraska's first road game. Check my calendar here. Yes, October the 10th. Yes, their first road game. They had to play a full 60 in Lincoln last week. The last 2 weeks, really, against Michigan and Michigan State. I think Maryland responds here. They keep it close, plus a 7 against Nebraska in their first road game. I'll take Iowa minus a 3 against Wisconsin on the road here. The Badgers are having a hard time scoring. They're last in the Big Ten.
Oh, are they?
And they're last in the Big Ten in scoring. That's including 42 points against Middle Tennessee, 10 against Michigan, 10 against Maryland, 14 against Alabama, 17 against
7 on a kick return.
Okay,
yeah.
Well,
I want to give further to your point.
Yeah, thank you for helping me. 17 against Miami of Ohio. Iowa's defense is better than all of them. I think they're better than Alabama defensively. Iowa held a real Indiana team to 20. Iowa State to 16, and both of those offenses are way better than Wisconsin. So I don't know how the Badgers are going to score. The Badgers defense isn't special either. This feels like 16-7, maybe 17-3, something like that. Give me Iowa minus the 3. And I'm going to go against Bruce again. One of us is going to have a good week. One of us is going to miss. We'll see. I'm going to take the Trojans at the Coliseum minus 2.5 against Michigan. Michigan's 11th in the Big Ten in pass defense. That sounds like a big problem for me against a team that's number 3 in the nation in pass yardage. And Jaden Maeva, who leads the nation in yards per attempt. Michigan's defense, that's okay. 24 points they gave up to Oklahoma should have been more. 2 turnovers for the Sooners, plus they missed a field goal. They had over 400 yards that day, 22 first downs, and even with Mateer, USC's offense, I think, is better than Oklahoma's. Lincoln Riley against the spread, 13-7 at home, 3-11 on the road since he got to USC.
As a favorite.
As a favorite, yeah. This game's at the Mausoleum. And as if I needed a little bit more, just a little bit more juice, unranked team ranked against a ranked team at home. Give me the Trojans. Fight on, minus 2.5.
Charlie, just one.
Matt, get in your car and go home after the game now. Don't be straggling out in that neighborhood, boy.
Just one note on Iowa, Wisconsin. Both quarterbacks' statuses up in the air for this game. Gronowski's considered a game-time decision for Iowa. It's been, revolving doors for Wisconsin all year at quarterback due to injuries.
Charlie, with Iowa and Iowa State, the late Sauk tribe leader, Chief Blackhawk, would be proud, huh?
I don't know.
Or you're a big fan of the Last of the Mohicans book, huh?
For some reason, I couldn't find my way out of the Big Ten this week.
You can't find yourself out of the damn state of Iowa.
I wanted to bet SEC games. It was just I found it better matchups in the Big Ten this week.
Oh, Nunes is here. You're kissing his ass with Sparty. Huh?
Oh, he's Sparty. Yeah, he's a doggone graduate, Michigan State.
I mean, you were inspired by the punt team last week?
You like UCLA?
I think UCLA is a real interesting move from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah, look, that was not.
Bruce makes some points. I just disagree. I think this is a tough spot for them.
Well,
off the big win and go on the road.
I think that the new play caller helped Nico look a little better.
No question. No question.
Okay. But still, he had 8 yards passing in the second half. Michigan State's not going to have the special teams disaster. That's an outlier. All right. And I'm sorry, but Childs, bro. I mean, that backup quarterback, Millie Vahavich, I mean, he went right down the field. So that might be a little bit more pressure. Maryland, plus points. Who do you think's better between Nebraska and Washington? Close? One team better than the other?
I would give a small edge to Washington.
Me too.
Because they've been on the road and won a game.
Paul Stone has him slightly ahead.
Nebraska's been camped out in Lincoln for a month and a half.
So Washington was 6.5 and had to fight for their lives to get out of there. And Nebraska's going to go in. There is still a Nebraska tax. It still exists. And of course, the great freshman in-state. How do we pronounce his name for the Terrapins? The quarterback.
Oh, Malik Washington.
No, that's not how you say it. Come on, Max.
Malik.
There it is. Malik Washington in tribute to Paul Stone. I love when it just makes my day.
He mentioned Malik Murphy on the podcast.
I know.
This week.
He's the best. He's the best. And and then USC fighting on. So, Charlie, don't forget every Monday it's beans and rice day at the Odd House. We get that slow cooker going in the 3 o'clock games, and by the time for lunch rolls around on Monday, we got it. You could do it with the catfish. You could do it with the chicken breasts. You could do it with a little bit of everything. Maybe, man, and listen, you doing a ham for Christmas or Thanksgiving? Put that ham bone in the freezer and put it in your slow cooker with your red beans, your white beans, or any type of beans that you do. What kind of rice we use? We use the parboiled rice. I was talking to somebody. So my daughter's a CEO. She brought a rice cooker. She don't even know how to make rice. Just get the parboiled rice, and I bet you can. Just boil your water, put a little salt and oil in there, just a touch, and then boil it for 20 minutes, strain it, bam, and it is restaurant quality. It's the best rice they have. Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com.
Live at Rufino's Lock of the Week Friday. Tex Morris, Edward Jones Investment.
Jimmy Ott's 5-pack of picks, brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
All right, Max, you want to get to your picks first as we go on, and I'll get to mine?
Sure, why not?
So we can do the Dana Brown at Law Offices of O.C. Brown College Cappers Recap here on Lock of the Week Friday.
Let's do it. 3-2 last week. 18-17 for the season, 6-1 on the Lock of the Week, so stay tuned for that. Here we go. Going to start off with one of the low-level matchups this weekend at 2:30 on Saturday. Georgia State catching 2.5 at home against Appalachian State. Charlie, I'm going to put you on the spot here like I like to do sometimes.
Yeah.
There are two former LSU quarterbacks in this game. Do you know who they are? Georgia State, App State. Jimmy, you can help if you want. LSU, former LSU quarterbacks. Georgia State, App State.
TJ Finley?
TJ Finley, the starter.
TJ Finley kind of works for any question.
Yes,
you know?
He is the starting quarterback for Georgia State. A.J. Swan is currently now the backup. He just got benched last week for App State.
Damn picks, boy.
J.J. Cole is now the starter. But it's a battle of two former LSU quarterbacks. I'm going to take TJ Finley, the starter for Georgia State. Look, App State has a little bit of pre-built-in brand awareness, I guess. App State's always been a pretty good team at the Group of 5 level, but they are really, really bad this year. They've got a couple wins against Charlotte, Lindenwood, and Oregon State. There's no real Power 4 wins in that schedule. They lost to the two conference teams they played. Meanwhile, Georgia State, they've had a much, much tougher schedule. At Vanderbilt, James Madison, Memphis, at Ole Miss. So you look at the records, and I understand why you might say, oh, App State might be the better team. No. This is wrong. Wrong team favored here. Georgia State is the better team overall. They can run the ball a little bit, and I think that's going to be a problem for App State in this game. Also,
Georgia State plus 2.5 is a pick.
Yeah, Georgia State plus 2.5 in this one. Air Force UNLV, a couple of overs here. These are high totals, but over 64.5. Air Force and UNLV. Air Force has been an over team. I know they're a military school. You think about them running the clock, but they've changed quarterbacks, and they're actually passing the ball quite a bit. Meanwhile, UNLV, we've seen them in week 0. They just have no shred of defense. Air Force 5-0 to the overs this year. They've scored 30 points in all 5 of their games. I don't see how that's going to end this week, and UNLV is favored. So I think this game might be played in the 40s for both teams. I'll take over 64.5 between Air Force and the running Rebels. Also another high total here, UAB Florida Atlantic going over 67.5. I know that's a high one, but UAB is an over team. We know that. Jalen Kitna, they have an offense, the Blazers. Here's the problem. Both of these teams coming off of games against triple option teams. So Florida Atlantic played Rice. That game was much lower scoring. UAB also played against Army. That was a lower scoring game. So I think that adjusted these totals on these teams a little bit to the under, which is unwarranted because they're two triple option teams. These teams are going to open it up. Florida Atlantic second in plays per game. They play at a very high pace. Veldkamp, their quarterback, they can move the football. UAB worst in the country in yards per attempt given up. Passing. So they cannot defend the pass, and that's all Florida Atlantic wants to do. This is going to be a high-scoring game as well. Over 67.5 between UAB and Florida Atlantic. To the SEC, where we get good old Bobby Petrino making his debut after a bye week. Tennessee also off a bye week as well. I'm going to take the road team. I'm going to take the Razorbacks plus 11.5. Like what I've heard so far in the press conferences between Arkansas, they're going to change some things up, especially defensively. I think that's important. If they can show a shred of defense, that's going to be a big improvement for them because they've just giving up a ton of yards, ton of points for Arkansas.
When does the interim coach say we're going to keep everything status quo?
I get it, but remember they fired their defensive coordinator.
But didn't we teach him better than this?
Jimmy, how many of them fired their defensive coordinator midseason, right? They've got a new coordinator on that side of the ball.
UCLA fired the whole staff last week, and they beat Penn State.
Let's go.
You're catching
11.5 with a team that,
quit
by the
picking
way,
with your heart. I know you're a big Bobby Petrino lover.
Yes.
Who's not?
Warm and cuddly Bobby.
Yeah.
Arkansas has won the last 4 meetings, including last year. They pulled off an upset as a 14-point dog. Maybe Tennessee has revenge on their
Nico was
mind.
spectacular in that game.
But 11.5 on the road, I just think Arkansas is going to put up points against this Tennessee defense regardless. So I think they keep this within a number. I'll take the Razorbacks plus 11.5. And my lock of the week, as I mentioned, 6-1 on the year. Going to an in-state school, and a lot of times I've been fading them. I've been an antagonist of La Tech. They finally proved me right last week or last night against Kennesaw State. Also was against ULL quite a bit this year, but I'm going to back the Warhawks of UL Monroe, -2.5 at Coastal Carolina. Another situation where a small school living off their brand a little bit. Coastal Carolina got absolutely waxed by Old Dominion last week. ULM's 2 losses, they got blown out, sure, but to Alabama and Northwestern. So I think ULM better against this weaker competition.
And I have any time to get my picks in. Max's picks brought to you this week by ESPN Plus, and the only way you're going to see these games: Georgia State plus 2.5, Air Force UNLV over 64.5, UAB Florida Atlantic over 67.5. His guy Bobby P, Arkansas plus 11.5 is going to shake some things up in the Warhawks plus 2.5. Let's get to my locks of the week and my 5-pack, 19, 15, and 1 on the year, and going to go with a Powell Stone special tonight. North Texas. I was kind of doubting this. How about a matchup on Friday night that combined 9-1 teams? South Florida, the early season darling, with upsets against Boise State and the Florida, the University in the Swamp. Then they got housed by Miami. Nobody's going to kill them for losing like that. But this North, little sleepy little spot, weeknight games favor the home team. I mean, North Texas at 5-0 with that high-powered offense. The quarterback can really throw it. Mean Green, -2.5. NC State plus 23.5. C.J. Abrams, the sophomore quarterback from South Florida for the Wolfpack. They should be able to move the ball against this Notre Dame team. So 23.5. They covered Boise State covered that 22.5 last week. We benefited from the line adjustment last week. And USC comes to town next week. Notre Dame is even money right now to make the college football playoff. They're favored in every game. The toughest game on paper is USC coming to town. That Pitt game could be interesting. We'll see about the quarterbacks later on. Maryland plus 7. I'm with you there, Charlie. Nebraska, it seems like attacks again. They could have won last week outright against Washington, still covered. They can win this one outright as well. The young quarterback may leak Washington. He's really, really good, but inconsistent as a freshman. I think they will keep their foot on the gas. 20-0 and 20-3 late in the third. Couldn't close out the deal. Oregon State plus 3. Our diehard pick on the videos for Bet Rivers. We went against Oregon State last week at Appalachian State. 2 straight weeks that the Beavers have out first down and outgained their opponents, but came up a loser. Last week at Appalachian State, the Friday night before against Willie Fritz's Houston team, which they lost in overtime. Now Wake Forest, after a couple of draining games, they went for 2 in overtime. It came up short against Georgia Tech, and then they lost at home against Virginia Tech. The old G-Tech, V-Tech, coast-to-coast plane ride hangover. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Jet lag.
Oh, yeah, Oregon State plus the 3. And fight on, Charlie.
Yeah.
Because you need some love. And I'm going to piggyback you. I love you, Charlie. 3. I don't care if you're 15. Wouldn't hurt
you to say it sometime.
What anybody else says about your modest 15-13-2 record, that's still profiting. I don't know, by 0.47 of a unit.
Yeah.
But, it's in
buy coffee with that.
It's in the black. North Texas, NC State, Maryland, Oregon State, USC. Some lanyard picks for you. Florida State going against a young quarterback, freshman, making his first road start for Pitt. And then Wazoo plus a 31.5. Ole Miss, the Runt's got that trip to Athens next week. So early line, 4.5, Georgia in that one.
That's one of those games. It looks like it's a really good matchup, but it's not. Skip used to say, "Ooh, see, you schedule Iowa or Minnesota here. They look like a big school, but they're not good in baseball." Washington State looks like they ought to be a good non-conference scheduled game for Ole Miss. They're not. They're terrible this year.
I think they can move the ball enough to cover 32.5 against. The best defense that they played this year, San Diego State. Remember we talked about them? They had back-to-back games. They gave up 3 points total.
And they scored 6, right?
No, Washington State beat them by like 20.
Okay.
Early in the year. So
you like C.J. Bailey?
Abrams. C.J. Abrams?
C.J. Bailey.
C.J. Bailey.
C.J. Bailey. Okay, I said Abrams. My bad.
That's okay. I knew you meant.
I think he's long. He can make all throws. He's got some athleticism, but he's a passer first, which I like his approach. He's still developing, but I think, I like what I see in him.
I'm watching him a lot.
Yeah, I hear kind of tag.
Yeah.
Lie of the week. Friday here, presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments. We'll wrap it up and give you all of our previous picks from our contributors from earlier this week. Rafino's at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, plus 7.5. By the way, Indiana's down to 7 today at the DraftKings out with the Queen here locally. Florida, plus 7.5. I'll be on the Gators, too. Purdue is alma mater, plus 9. And Nevada, Bruce had Nevada as well. Nevada plus 7.5. Wes Reynolds, who will be in attendance at his alma mater, the Hoosiers at Alton Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. He likes his Hoosiers plus 7.5. They are better than they were last year. Are they this good to go to that place? Man, that Oregon team's really good. We'll see. It's a fun game. I think both teams will be in the playoff at the end of the year. Michigan State minus 7.5. So he's with Charlie on the Spartans trying to bounce back from that punt team disaster last week in Lincoln. Auburn plus 3.5. That is now up to 4. So Auburn is up to 4 at the Plains. And Missouri plus 3. Public, again, from all of our sportsbook managers that contribute on the show. Betting Bama again, coming off a bye, emotionally a couple wins. Could be a good spot for Missouri. I think this game should be closer to the pick'em. You heard earlier Chris Macero, totals galore, over Rutgers, Washington, over Central Florida, Cincinnati. How about Sorsby, the level of play he's playing? Speaking of Washington, Williams bailed them out with those 3 consecutive long-scoring touchdown drives to overcome that 20-3 late third-quarter deficit. Texas Tech, Kansas under. Interesting thing there. Kansas is an over team. They're all offense, no defense, but their pace of play is very slow. So it's kind of a conflicting type of a situation for them. Pitt, he's going with the freshman quarterback. Pitt, he was really good last week against against who did they play against?
Boston College.
Boston College, thank you. Oklahoma, Texas, under 44.5. Speaking of Oklahoma, Texas, we did the podcast earlier Tuesday. Paul Stone picked Oklahoma plus 3. We've seen this line move down. It is now completely flipped. Oklahoma is now the favorite, so maybe some confidence shifting that John Mateer will indeed play.
Listed as probable.
But this is the first time that I have then the injury report says he's probable. So go to debate.
Better than doubtful.
I'm not betting that game till it starts. Just a thing. Don't leave that club in your bag. This Sunday, 10 a.m. to noon, we will be at Football Sunday. Originates from Caesar Sportsbook in New Orleans. You go into the Patriots game. Come on by and see us beforehand. For Jordan Kitchen, pushing all the right buttons back in studio. We'll be at Chris's Specialty Foods on Monday. Lock of the week. Presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments.